We're live.
Oh, right. So
No
we
intros.
are
No
live.
intros.
No intros. No intros. All right, guys. So we're gonna wait like a couple seconds to make sure people are piling in. So we are very, very excited to host a great friend. Jerry and I go way back. We were in the same mastermind for what, 5, 6, 7 years ago? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it's
Uh,
it's. I can't believe it's been that long, Heim.
yeah.
So
So I remember again, I've seen Jerry kind of before he blew up, making a lot of changes to scale his real estate business. And then he took over from John Martinez, the Sales Academy, and we're going to talk about that. So people, we have like 12 people and people keep adding up. So Jerry Green is our guest for the show. Uh, and today the title of the video is scaling your virtual wholesaling business, and primarily with salespeople, because I know that your experience is managing salespeople. You have the sales academy, so you know how to
absolutely.
hire, how to train, all the sales process. We're gonna touch on that. So before we start, Jerry, why don't you give like a quick intro before you kind of deep dive? How long have you been in the business, and how's your business looking today?
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys. First of all, I appreciate you having me on as a guest here, and hope everybody's doing well today. So I just want to really kind of start off sharing a little bit about myself and how I got started, guys. It's been a long journey. I
Hmm.
started my first year in the business was in 1994. So that's when I started in the business. So I can't believe it's been 29 years this year. So it's been a long, long time. So that's when I first started. A lot of people are like, "Man, you started in 1994. Where was wholesaling around then?" Yes, it was, but it was. I basically had to train people what it was. Literally, title companies, attorneys. I mean, nobody understood it. They thought it was nuts. They thought it was illegal. You couldn't do it. All this stuff, right? So,
Hmm.
and back then, too, when I started, obviously we didn't have the benefit of everything being online. None of that stuff. So it was very heavy on the grind mode, majorly on that side of things. Okay, so in fact, it was kind of funny how I was thinking about this. Was just recently I was doing a boot camp last week in Dallas that I was hosting, and somebody was like, "Well, how did you do calls and stuff?" Literally, I had a digital pager, and back then there was only two people that had digital pagers: doctors and drug dealers. So, and I literally had a digital pager on my side. I get a page, drive to a payphone, and turn around and take the call and go, and then connect to the seller. So it was pretty insane on that side of things. But this is how I got started in this, guys, back in the 90s. Prior to that, I was in the electrical contracting business with my father. This was over in Springfield, Ohio. I at that time too, I was going through. So you guys understand on this what happened, how I even got put into the business was we worked with a lot of general contractors in our electrical contracting business, and we were actually in a position where the general contractor folded up his doors on us, and we couldn't recover from that. We ended up going bankrupt. So I went through a bankruptcy. I went started to figure out get involved in wholesaling. I went to a seminar in Cincinnati, Ohio. How that's how I got started in it. Started building things up there. I built this massive machine up over in Springfield, Ohio. I was doing wholesaling. Then I went to fix and flip model and started building this up. Just sharing with you guys kind of the overall 30,000-foot view of my career and what I went through. Some of you know my story too, that maybe have heard me share this before, is rolling into the year 2000. We were rock and rolling, my wife and I. We had a really solid business going. We just were building a brand new home, all these things. I went bankrupt to building a new home and all these cool things happening. And we found out we were having a baby. We went into a situation where my wife started having some complications. And it just ended up where little boy Jordan was born premature, And within 2 hours of him being born, I found out my wife had cancer.
Wow.
And that's the reason that he was born premature. We went into the situation where something was going on we didn't know until after he was born. Within 2 hours, they did a CT scan, found out she had cancer. It was a kidney cancer in her, called Wilms tumor, very rare for an adult to have, typically in kids by the age of 5. And Haim, on that side of things, my friend, we went into, obviously that was, I should say, that was the time where I had to focus on family. And that's what I needed to do more than ever, right? And we ended up being in the position she was actually being treated at Children's Hospital in Columbus, and went through a major surgery. And that major surgery was supposed to be a 3 or 4 hour surgery, ended up being 14 hours long. And we come out of that surgery where she had no kidneys. They had to remove her kidneys, completely dependent on dialysis. And just in a position where she was going to have to be treated in the hospital for a little while longer. We thought we might be able to get her home 3 or 4 weeks. And one complication set in after another. And we ended up being in the hospital for 4 months straight.
Wow.
And I ended up moving out of our brand new home in Springfield, Ohio, and I lived in the Ronald McDonald House over in Columbus, Ohio. After 4 months, we got her home, guys, and we thought we were going on the right path. And within a few months after she was home, we had another CT scan done and found out the cancer had reoccurred. And at that time, they told us to call in hospice. And 10 months after my little boy was born, I lost my first wife. And
Wow.
you guys, we dated in high school. We obviously built a life together. She worked with me in the business and everything. And guys, the reason I share this with you is because I think a lot of times it's easy to put somebody on a pedestal and you think, hey, everything just works out great. Guys, look, this is life and we all go through different things. And I like to share this because I think, like I said, it's easy to put somebody on a pedestal because I have had, a lot of success in business and things, but I've had a lot of hard knocks and I've had a lot of failures in business too over those years. So I just want to make sure you guys all understand on this. And the big thing I want you to get out of this is that no matter where you're at, if you're beginning, you're more seasoned, don't let excuses hold you back in any way whatsoever at all. Okay. All that I went through, then it took me a couple of years to get functional again. I did remarry, which hi, my wife now, Joyce.
Joy.
We built the business back up over here in the Dayton, Ohio area. And fast forward many, many years later, guys, I have a COO that works for me. She's been with me over 10 years now. She runs the organization for me. We have a acquisitions team, we have a dispo team, we have transaction coordinating. And what I look at this time is what I've learned is that you got to treat this business as a production line. And that's the way, if you really want to succeed in this side of things, you have to think of it as basically that assembly line, just like in a factory. And you understand each department, where it sits, and you have to understand what those key roles are. And then you have to be in a position, if you want to build this right, is you move up to that position where you're just overseeing things on a higher level where you can understand the metrics, and you let the team fire in all those positions, and then you can build this thing and scale it to whatever level you want. So that's kind of a quick, 30,000 foot view, my friend, from there, of what I've been able to do over the years. We've done a little over 3,000 deals. So we've done a tremendous amount of deals. We do a big volume of deals every single month. We have an office here in the Dayton area.
How many deals per month today you have, and how big is your team?
So
people can understand
we
the volume.
We maintain about anywhere from about 12 to 13 people typically on things. We're getting ready actually to hire 2 more on things.
Okay.
So that's about the size of the team we maintain. And I think what you guys have to look at too is you don't have to have this huge team. And see, I used to believe that you had to have this huge team, what you can do is, guys, you can be in the position where you could have, you know, 4 to 6 people and do $1 million a year out of this.
So let's talk about it. Give us a chance to ask you a question, Jerry, because I know that you can talk for an hours and hours and hours. So we want to kind of make sure we squeeze in a couple of questions to kind of direct the call. So first of all, if people have questions for Jerry, please make sure to ask them. We're gonna want to make sure it's interactive. We want to make sure that you use Jerry's time and expertise to your benefits. And let me ask you this, for the people who's doing one deal a month, maybe one deal every 2 months, how they can start to get to the CEO role and to kind of make sure that they're looking as a production line, like you see, like the first step to get out of the grind mode that they're doing everything in the business, buying leads, skip tracing leads, making calls, dispo, putting things under contract and kind of doing everything in the business. What do you think the first step to do to get to this production line view or vision to get to a point that you manage 12, 13, 15 people team?
Well, I think one of the first things you guys got to look at on this, and I deal this a lot with a lot of our coaching students we work with, Chaim, is what we first have to really look at is people have to understand where their business really is currently on this. Now, this goes back to something like I look at what I call the 4 pillars of this business. Okay, and these 4 pillars of the business, Chaim, what I look at is number one, we have to understand clearly what our revenue goal is for a business. Let's just say for the next 12 months, whatever that revenue goal is. And so we have to have a clarity on that. And then what I mean too on that goal, I think a lot of times we see people come in, they say, hey, I want to do fix and flip, I want to wholesale, I want to do all this. That's great, but that's an 8-lane highway. Let's take it down to 2 lanes so we can be very focused. Because the thing is, when you become niche, you can become rich. And if you focus on that, that's where we want to go. So that's a big thing is number one, we want to look at clarity on your goal for your revenue. And what I look at is if you're doing anything outside of wholesaling, that is a separate individual product line. Okay. So you look at these as product lines. So we have one product line for wholesaling, maybe a product line if you're doing fix and flips, whatever that is. So you got to be very clear when it comes to that. Then second thing we look at is reverse engineering those goals. That's the second pillar. And we take that back and we start understanding exactly what our margins are, what our minimum margins are. And then we start being very clear of what metrics we're going to need to hit regarding the KPIs for our marketing component. And then what we do, Chaim, too, is we take that even down deeper to understand what we call, I've created this within our teams, our sales teams, what we call a sales success formula. And what that is a very clear action steps that have to be done by a particular sales team member to achieve a certain result. Okay. Because I think a lot of times teams, what they do is they get caught up in just making calls when let's understand really what that is. Let's understand those metrics. If, for example, like we understand that we have to make a certain amount of offers to a conversion. So that is our very clear success formula with that. So we dial that in. So you have to understand the reverse engineering side. Then the third pillar is I make all my people, even if somebody's a solopreneur, do a complete accountability chart for their existing business, even if they're in every single seat. Because the thing is, if you don't understand what all those seats do, then what's going to happen is you're always going to be caught up into the grind. You'll never see the bigger vision of it. And you won't see where you, where you struggle at, the areas that you don't like doing. So you got to create that strong visual of that accountability chart. Then the fourth pillar is we have to put in tracking, and that's where the KPIs, and we start doing that. And what I recommend, Chaim, what I've learned doing this, guys, for all these years, is you dial it into a daily basis. And literally you dial your numbers in on a daily basis. So what happens is that's a first component, Chaim, we usually look at when somebody says, hey, I want to build this thing out. Here's where I'm at now. Okay, well, if we want to, and here's the way to look at it. Do you want to make a business out of this, or do you want to build a company? But see, I can have a business selling hot dogs on the corner, but what I looked at was I didn't want to do that. I wanted to build a company. And that company will grow and continue to grow whether you're there all day or not, and it will just continue to grow, and it makes more money. Are you going to have to tweak it? Absolutely. You're going to have ups and downs? Yes. But the thing about it is, if you understand how to do it right, and you put these things I'm talking about in place, you can truly build this into a real company.
Got it. So let's try to kind of bring it down, because what you said is, again, it's great stuff. But for somebody who wants to do 2 to 3 deals per month, what do you think the team that they should have in place, and KPI? Because somebody asked if you can elaborate on the team and the different position, and lead generation, but kind of maybe tie to, if I am a guy who's doing 1 deal a month or 1 deal every other month, and I want to take it to 3 per month, what do you think the move? And I'm doing everything. What's the first hire that I should do, and what's the actions and the kind of how to compartmentalize the business as a first step? Because everybody know we need to track KPI, and everybody know that we have lead gen, we have acquisition, we have disposition, but to bring it to the ground, to the first hire, I think this is when we see a lot of the challenges for our students.
Absolutely. Yeah, what we see is typically one of the first hires, most of the time we see with someone, is to bring someone in that administrative role, but also they're not only doing like admin things, but also they're going to be your TC, and they will even help on follow-up leads. Now, I'm not talking cold calling. I'm talking about follow-up within your own database on things. And this role, and the cool thing about it, guys, you don't have to, if you're just starting up and you're only doing 1 deal, 2 deals a month, and you want to take it up maybe to 3 to 5, well, this is very doable. You just get that person in that can, one, take off any type of task you don't need to be doing, obviously, on things. That is super important on that side. And then to get in a position too, where they can start doing the transaction coordinating components for you, because those are the things that will just tie you up and take you away from things. And then the same person can do what we call a follow-up role. So we have what we call follow-up specialists on our team. And the same person in the beginning can play multiple roles like that. And what they're doing is they're going into your CRM, they're re-engaging these leads, because what I find most solopreneurs, their biggest problem they run into is the leads come in and then they can't get back with some of them quick enough, and then they start piling up, and you get into this follow-up game going all the time. So it's important to be in a position where you can have someone that's doing that every day, even if it's just part-time. And then their goal is to do one of two things. One, book you an appointment, a solid appointment, or they get them on the phone and do a live transfer to you so you can close them.
Got it.
So that will change your game in this business. I promise you guys. If you're doing this by yourself.
Do you do everything? Your model today is virtual completely, or do you doing face-to-face negotiation? Because we are here again. We live in Israel, so obviously everything is virtual.
Yep, we do everything virtual, even if it's 10 minutes down the street.
Okay,
we do everything
so you don't
virtual.
go to government?
We don't. Okay. We used to for Haim. I've done that for years. I went on thousands of appointments myself. But what I realized was it was all nothing. It was all a mindset issue. Okay, and it was a limiting belief. So it doesn't matter where you're at, because the key to this, it's not whether you go on an appointment or not. It's how well you use a proven sales process.
So let's talk about again. Let's say that the first role you said is to bring like an admin role, to do all the little minutia things, buying list, maybe clean up list, do easy follow-ups on your leads, and to transfer the hot leads to you so you can do the high value activities. Let's talk about acquisition, because I think this is one of your specialties. hiring your first acquisition guy, when to hire them, and how to hire and train them, because that's probably, we also see one of the challenges, because what's one of the biggest challenges that the Israelis have is the time zone difference.
Yes.
So we work through the night sometimes. Our shift starts, so now it's 7:30 p.m. in Israel, or 7:50 p.m. So, and we work on US schedule. So we need to start our shift in the evening. And in order to catch people and speak with sellers, we need to be available sometimes 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So after you're doing it for 5 months, 6 months, a year, you start to burn out. And this is when you want to bring an acquisition guy to kind of take it off your shoulders, because you just don't want to deal with it anymore. You're tired. It's affecting your family, your life in general. So when to hire the first acquisition and how to go about it, because that's something
Okay.
that we see. It's a
Well,
big
I think
challenge for guys in Israel.
on timing wise, I think that at one time, I think a lot of people wait way too long to hire an acquisitions person. Okay.
Okay.
And because see, a lot of you, what happens is you get into this, you get into real estate side of things. And I think real estate's one of the ones that we can be guilty of this more than other businesses. And what I mean on this is that you get into this, and real estate can become very personal very quickly. And you have to treat this as a business, and you have to treat that real estate doing deals is no different than any other business. If I was in the cell phone business, my cell phone is nothing more than a product. So we have to look at real estate as product. So what we have to do is we have to start looking at this and think, if I was doing any other type of product, I'm going to be bringing in salespeople pretty darn quick. So we got to get that mindset set, first of all, with that. So first thing I look at is get that assistant, get that person coming in so you can free up all these things for you to be able to be in a position where you can even start working with the sales rep. Because a lot of times people bring the sales rep in too early, and then what they're trying to do is they're scrambling all the time, and then they can't get any deals done. Okay. So what I look at is get that person on board that's doing the more administrative type stuff, have them help you on things. And then as they get going, what they can also do is they can actually help you filter basically applications, resumes from acquisitions people, so you're not doing it yourself. Okay, so that's extremely important on that side of things. Now, when we do bring acquisitions people in, after many years of doing this, guys, I've done a lot of things wrong where I hired people incorrectly. And here's what I learned on this is if you want to be very strong when it comes to be able to bring in acquisitions people and have a high, really a high producing results, 3 areas you need to cover them, really train them on. Number one, sales process. Okay. And obviously, Jaime, as you know, that's a big thing we're big about, is especially with owning that Sales Academy, the #1 training platform in the country when it comes to the real estate investors. We train heavy on that. So train them on the sales process, but also not just train them on the sales process, Jaime. We also learned that a lot of deals fall out because people don't understand the next step. Sellers don't understand what's going on next. So the other thing we train on heavily is operational. So they have to understand that.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is, like, for one, how things function within the CRM. Also, if I'm talking to a seller, okay, I put the deal together today, but what happens next, for Mr. or Mrs. Seller? These are the steps they're going to follow. Okay, so they have to understand how that process is going to go. Is there someone else going to be contacting them? Who's going to be taking a buyer potentially through a property? All these different things. We have to lay that out, guys, because if you don't do that, what happens is sellers get to the point where, one, they might not hear from you enough. So another example that we have, this is a operational side. Like, we have our transaction coordinator. Okay, check in with our sellers and buyers every 72 hours. It's a requirement. So it's a retention thing. Okay. So these are type of things. And if you get caught up into that, you're not doing what you should be doing, putting more deals together. Okay. So we train sales, we train operationally, and then the third component we train on is contract presentation. Because most people in this business, especially if you're bringing in sales reps or you're newer in this business, a lot of deals fall out because sellers don't understand the contract. What they go to closing, they get upset because the tax proration is not correct, and they don't. And then they don't know these things, guys. You got to make sure all these things are in place. So, Hein, what we started doing is all our people that come on board, we train them sales process, we train them operationally, we train them also when it comes to contract presentation. And then we test them on all three levels.
Got it.
And by doing this, it changes the game on this side of things.
Good tips.
Yeah, awesome. So Jerry, I want to try and make it a bit more practical for people who are hearing this, for the first time. Say, what, after this call, I heard Jerry, it makes complete sense. And I'm going to try and approach hiring my first hire, right? Which is going to be the guy who's going to be doing the admin and going to be doing the qualifications, qualifying the leads and setting up, and also maybe going forward, trying to hire an acquisition. Can you mention or put some points on, when somebody approach hiring, what they should be looking at, what type of, the avatar for maybe the lead gen more on the follow-up side, also discussing the acquisition side. What are the elements they should be looking on?
Okay, great question on that. I think on the when it comes to that person that would play that role, maybe especially like on a admin side and follow-up side, we look at number one. This could be somebody local, or it could be a virtual assistant. If that's fine, but they have to be in a position where we're big about very driven person, but also very good communicator just in general with people. We find that we got to have somebody that is a very forward thinker. Okay. You guys know in our business that our stuff changes all the time on our deals, right? And if we're not a forward type thinker on that side of things, they're going to really struggle on that. Another thing that we're very honest with our anybody we hire like this, we let them know that you got to be okay with getting messaged at 10 o'clock at night, because our business is really, if you think about it, never shuts down. Doesn't mean they have to work all the time, but they got to be flexible to deal with these different messages coming in, Slack or text at different hours, because we understand that, especially as you guys are dealing with, different time zones and all this here, that big gap, you got to have somebody that's willing to be able to reach out to a seller during situations, or a buyer, and be able to communicate them. So we have to see those type of things in place when it comes to somebody that's that either admin person or follow-up person. Okay. Now, acquisitions side of things. Here's the big thing on acquisitions. Everybody comes in and they say, hey, I want somebody that's a rock star. Well, I can tell you guys, when it comes to this, that finding that rock star is like finding a needle in a haystack. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of us, what we do is we get so hung up on that I want this prior salesperson. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to shift your mind from that, not focus on somebody is so good on sales. Focus on somebody that is very driven, is well-spoken. It doesn't matter if they're introvert, extrovert. I don't care on that, because what we know is it's not about the salesperson so much. It's about the sales process. So what we focus on is a rock star sales process versus a rock star salesperson. Does that make sense?
Completely. And it's so important you say that, because I think a lot of people, they get the impression or thinking that exactly what you said, they're looking for a rock star, and it comes with a certain price, not only money, but there is also a downside to it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And because we have proven this over and over again, not only with our own team, but all of our students we work with. And we noticed something that I can literally have somebody that maybe had been delivering pizzas, And if they have the right drive, they're well spoken on things, and they really want it. And they have something I call guys too. That one of the really one of the big key components we look at is somebody has big money energy. That they want.
What do you mean? They want to make
big
more?
money.
They want
Yeah,
money?
they want to make more, Haim, but they just so what they don't look at saying, hey, good is good enough. What they want to do is they want to become great or something. And if we have that type of person and has that drive, guess what? We can put them into our training, and in 90 days we can have them closing deals on a regular basis because they have the drive, we have the system. Okay.
Got it. So let's talk about two things. How do you find these people? When you need to hire an acquisition people, where do you look for them, or where do you post? Is that from your network, from relationship? Do you post on Indeed, on Craigslist? Where do you find those people to kind of get applications and to screen them? And once you hire them, how do you train them to get again? How long it takes to get somebody on the phone and put them in front of the leads that you kind of worked very hard and you paid money to generate, so you don't feel that you're kind of wasting your leads on somebody that is not ready?
Absolutely. So when we're just finding people like that, we've actually had a lot of success with Indeed on things, on that side. And something I'll do for you guys, your whole group, I'll actually share with you, Haim, a very specific ad that we run that has good results, and you can share it to your group. Okay.
Please do. Yes, it would be great.
And so we've had a lot of success with that. Also, we've had a lot of success with different groups, like posting in even sales groups. That I'm not talking groups relating specifically towards real estate. I'm talking about general sales Facebook groups. And this has worked pretty good. That you find that a lot of times salespeople are involved in these things. And what they do is they share, they talk and things like that. So we found those groups to be real good. Another thing that we've had too, good. Now we do this a lot in our, in the markets that we work within, is we'll actually post in community groups. And because what happens with that is you find a lot of times they know somebody that's not working, that wants a job, and they don't care if it's virtual or on the boots on the ground, so they don't mind that. So in fact,
Facebook,
Facebook groups like this, it's been a real good side of things. And these are community groups, okay, like a small community might have, and literally people are talking about garage sale stuff in there. But the thing is, these little groups, people are very personal, and they know people that, hey, so it might be a good fit for that opportunity. Okay, so and it can be very powerful. I just got back from Puerto Rico. I just got back Sunday night, and I went in. I was actually working with the sales team personally myself, and spent 2 days with the sales team. And we were going through everything when it comes to this, and we were talking about some of the things that we need to do to, one, help people, help them find more candidates for their team and stuff like that. And we found that, Facebook groups, as well as bringing people in through, Indeed and all that, all those sources work. But the big key component to this is, I think, where most people struggle is they think they have to fit in this little box, that they have to have all the sales experience and things like that. And it's not about that. It's what I mentioned earlier. It's that drive. It's that personality. It's that big money energy. Because see, I can take someone that's literally never even had any experience whatsoever before. And the key time is how we train them.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. And that's the key component. So we train them on these three areas. And then one of the big thing we do is on the sales training, we run them through our sales academy training. And when we do that, and they understand that sales is not really sales. Sales is about following a process that allows a human being to want to do business with you because they are following the natural way that they make a decision to buy or sell something. And what we're doing, we're not pushing them. We're actually always pulling them what we call towards a no. And as we constantly are pulling them towards a no, a properly trained salesperson will see their conversions start going through the roof because they're never selling. You guys, I just want you guys to get that. All of you guys are on here. This is your key component here. Is most of you go in and what you try to do is sell. If you would just pull back some, stop selling, focus what I'm telling you guys here on this side of things, learn a proper sales process, what's going to happen is you'll see your conversions continue to grow. I spent last week, I spent all week last week between Dallas and Puerto Rico doing nothing but working with people on sales trainings and real estate and investing only. And what I've seen over and over again is so many people get caught up into this traditional way that we've been trained, and it's what I call dysfunctional sales processes that we've been trained on. And if you would just take the time to learn the proper way of doing this, guys, literally you will see your conversions just continue to skyrocket on this. And this quick example all the time is we focus a lot on one of the common things, and I know you guys have heard this, these people saying, well, maybe let me think it over. Let me talk to my neighbor. Let me talk to my attorney. I need to run it by them. My tenant always said that they would be interested if I wanted to sell, right? We hear all these things. The problem for most of us, what we're doing is we're hearing that at the end of the call after we already made the offer.
Okay.
So what happens is sellers already got everything they need. Why do they need to get back with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to learn is how to do that before we make the offer. And that goes into what we call working through the deal killers. And then if we do that properly, what happens is we've proven this within the Sales Academy, just salespeople who master just the deal killer area alone, typically we'll see anywhere from a 15 to 20% increase on their conversions.
That's beautiful.
So give us the cliff notes. I know that again, you have a 12-week program for the Real Estate Sales Academy. What's like the cliff note version of kind of if somebody, because most of our guys here in the group, they're doing the acquisition call themselves. And we kind of believe that you need to know first how to close the deal before you teach somebody and create the process for them to follow so you can manage and train them and know if they're doing a good job or not. So if you need to explain somebody the Cliff Notes version of the kind of the 3 main things or the 4 main things of your sales process, what would it be in 2 minutes, your 2 minutes version? And if they want to hear more, again, I included the link for your Real Estate Sales Academy so they can learn more about the process. And if they want to take the training from you, they obviously can do that. But just so for people to get a taste.
Yeah, Chaim. So really what it comes down to is you guys have to realize this, that a sales process is not, anytime anybody tells you a sales process like 20 steps, they're full of crap, okay? A process should be very focused towards, like what we look at is really 4 steps, okay? 4 main steps. And I want you guys to think about it this way. This is our sales process basically is a roadmap. Okay. And everybody says, oh, what about all the scripts? It's not about scripts. Most of people spend way too much time on scripts. That's why they can't convert deals. Okay. Your roadmap is your script. And on that roadmap, you have 4 main stops. 1, we call set the stage. Number 2, we go into motivation, creating urgency. Number 3 is we eliminate objections, what we call overcoming deal killers. Number 4, we bring it full circle to close. That is a format we work off of. Now, the thing is, along that roadmap, are you going to run into potholes? Are you going to run into stoplights and detours? 1000%. So what you learn is how to navigate and use very specific tactical things that you say to sellers to get back on that roadmap and to close them.
So again, so the roadmap is first is setting the stage,
Yep.
then finding out the motivation or the pain point, and
Correct.
then three, working through the deal killers.
Yes.
And what's the fourth pillar?
The fourth one is to close the process. Okay. And the big thing I'll just share this with everyone here. Guys, listen to me on this. The last part is where most salespeople drop the ball, because what they do is I say close the process. Most investors say close the deal.
Yeah.
If you've done everything correctly up above step 4, the close is already done. So when you get to 4, you're not closing the seller, you're just closing out the process.
It's very natural close. You don't need to push them. It's kind of, you kind of fast the end, especially if you're doing the pull strategy that you and John teach. Again, it's very natural that they close themselves in a lot of times, right?
That's, yep, 100%. And that's the natural, guys. Here's another thing too, is most people, investors struggle with this, is they always say, well, somebody's giving more money, somebody's beating me out on numbers, right? You hear all this stuff, or they're getting multiple offers. The problem is you're trying to work with someone in the logical mind. All complex decisions are made from the emotional mind. All of you guys, I don't care if you're brand new in this business, I just want you to listen to me on this. Decisions are made from the emotional mind. The logical brain can only process information at 50 bits per second. It's scientifically proven. The emotional brain processes information at 11 million bits per second. And most of you are trying to sell to the logical brain. That's why you're not getting deals done.
Great tip. So let's get through a few questions of our group members here that asking. So first question is kind of the market is uncertain at the moment. What's the timeline, in your opinion, that things will get more stable? I don't know if that's what's your take on what do you see in the market, because the market shifted to more, again, it was super hot maybe 6 months ago. I don't know what
here's my thoughts on this is, look, I've been doing this so long, you guys got to remember something, that the market we had over the last couple of years has not been a real market. That's been a fake market. Okay. Where we're at now is a real market.
That's normal. That's normal.
Yeah, it's normal. So that's the first thing you guys got to realize, this is a normal market. So what you got to realize, the stuff you got away with a year ago, where you could just grab a deal, lock it up, throw a Hail Mary, and some idiot would buy it, those days are gone. Okay?
Correct.
Yeah.
So what we have to do, the number one thing that you got to focus on now, and it doesn't matter what marketplace it's in, but more important than now is your skills. Skills is what's going to make you money.
Execution.
Yeah. So what lead generation do you do? Because you're doing a lot of volume. I assume you're doing everything, but if somebody in the beginning phase of their journey, they still either chasing the first deal, or they're doing one deal a month or one deal every other month, what do you think the best lead generation strategy that's working for you, and especially for a beginner to start?
Well, I think if you're just beginning, there's several things we use, Chaim, on things, and we've been using direct mail nonstop for 20 plus years.
Direct mail?
Yeah, that's been one of our biggest ones. But also we use PPC, we use that, we use cold callers, and we use texters. If I was going to start back up on things again, I'm going to look at one of the easiest ways to get entry into something is probably going to be from a very seasoned cold calling team that I know I can get in there and generate leads right away, right? Because mail is going to take a good 4 months or something build up on things to really start seeing some results. But cold callers, I can turn it on very quickly, and also pay per click, I can do that as well. But I think for somebody of really limited budget, I think cold callers, you can get that going. And if you do it right, you'll close them. Because a good cold caller lead is 66% sold when they come in.
Good.
Interesting.
Jerry, we got a mindset question from Dima. What's get you motivated in the morning? How do you stay motivated even when everything is not working your way, like today's market?
Well, first of all, I think it comes back to understanding, to me, one of the most important things, and it might sound silly, but meditation. And I'm not kidding on that. Okay. I think taking time to meditate, and getting still instead of your mind racing all the time, is understanding that side of things. And I think that it's really important for you to put out in the universe what you truly want. Because if you're going to go in, look, if you go with this attitude that the market's bad, it's not going to work, you're going to get exactly what you want. If you go in this attitude where, you know what, I'm going to become damn good at a sales process, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And if I do that and I generate leads, I'm going to convert. Okay. And it just comes down to that side of things. So it's so much of how you, what you put out there, because you're going to attract that 1000%, guys.
And mindset, I mean, some people don't really, they get it when it comes, but it's such an important, it's a crucial part of our business, having the right mindset, having the ability to get that drive. That's
100%. Yeah. And it's one other key tip. I don't know if any of you guys are using when it comes to mindset in sales. Here's a big thing is you have to reset all the time, because you're all going to get these people that are nasty to tell you to F off and everything else, right? And you got to be in that position you can reset, and you got to take a breathe on it. So the one way I've learned to reset very simply is do a quick countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You hit 1, you reset, you get back on phone, and you go. Okay.
Nice.
And it's a really powerful little strategy. It works well. And one other thing too is that if any of you guys are using anyone to filter leads for you, such as lead managers, cold callers, one of the worst things you can do is have them ask price for you. If you ask price, what happens is prior to you getting on the phone yourself, if you're the salesperson, what happens is it sets you into a negative mindset, because you get on the call and you start looking at things in your CRM and you go, oh, they're asking a ridiculous price. This is a waste of time. Now think about that, guys. That will greatly affect.
Very interesting.
And guys, I've proven this. And if you think about it, a properly executed sales process, we don't talk price until the end. And then we have someone that's not trained in the sales process go on asking price in a matter of a couple minutes. It doesn't work.
Interesting.
Got it. Quick question. Okay, what app do you use? Any specific app for meditation?
The Calm app. I love it.
Calm. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. And maybe again, another question people want to for inspiration. Kind of how's your team looking? Can you elaborate on? Let me see. Elaborate on your team if somebody wants to. What it takes? What kind of team do you have right now to do 10+ deals per month? What's the position? Just to get an idea of what's the org chart that you have to run this type of operation.
Well, on my side of things, it starts with my COO, Ashley, at top. She oversees all the operational components. Then it goes down to marketing side. And what we have on marketing side is really we have virtual assistants that process marketing. So they're processing all the marketing, filtering everything. Then from there, it goes to our follow-up specialists. And our follow-up specialists are either taking calls in or they're doing follow-up on existing leads in our CRM. Then we have our acquisitions side of things. And acquisitions is focused on working with closing. So if you look at follow-up specialists versus our acquisitions people, just think of setters, closers. Okay. And that's kind of the way that works. And then then we have a transaction coordinating. And then we have our dispo department, and then anybody that does administrative stuff on the back end, things like that, books and stuff. So you think, well, that's a lot of moving parts. But the thing is, guys, I want you to think about this. I mean, it's not uncommon us to be in a position where we might do 18 to 20 deals in a month. Okay. But what it is I'm not focused on building this team out of 30 people. What I'm looking at is building a smaller team that is very efficient, very well trained, and we constantly are focusing on building them to make them better. That's your key to this. But a lot of you could be in a position literally with a team of 3 to 4 people, and be generating, at least 50 grand a month out of that.
100%.
100%. So again, can you elaborate on your acquisition team? So you have setters and closers, and you have
Yes.
a sales manager. How
Yes,
many
yes.
how many sales people do you have currently?
So
Sales
we
rep.
typically we maintain at least 3 to 4 full-time sales reps on that side of things. Okay, and then what we do is we set it up where we have a actual follow-up specialist that we like to maintain per sales rep. Okay.
Okay, so
And
each sales rep has a follow-up manager or setup junior assistant.
right. Yes. And then we have someone oversees that side of things on that and the bigger picture. And the reason behind that is to keep everything driving, but also not just driving, but it's also to make sure that people are staying in line with the sales process and not going rogue on things. Because if you're doing this right, guys, it's a matter of following the sales process. And if you do this correctly and you just track your numbers on a daily basis, you will see when your team gets off just like that. You will see when you'll start saying, wait a minute, what's going on with this? Well, when those numbers start going down on the conversions, it's typically a problem somewhere in the sales process. Most people try to blame the leads, and it's guys, generally it's not the leads, it's conversion.
Interesting. So we have a few more questions. We finished.
Yeah. From
What
Nomi.
book? Okay. What book do you recommend to read to master the sales process?
Well, I would let's see. I'll tell you one book is guys is George Belford's book, which a lot of you guys are familiar with from the movie Wolf on Wall Street. Okay.
Yeah.
His book's a really good one. It's very simple. Obviously, you got to deal with a little bit of his craziness on things when you read it, but it's a great book. I think anything Chris Voss is another his book's really strong on things. So I think anything along those lines are tremendous when it comes to that. And the other thing I'll do for you guys, Haim, too, is this. I've got a small ebook too that I talk about. I'll share that with you guys, and you can share it to your group. How's that?
Beautiful.
Would love that. And I know that again when John build is again you and John build on spin selling, all of the picture perfect.
Spin selling's huge.
Yeah. Spin selling. It's also another great book.
Yeah, spin selling. In fact, it's funny. I just had a conversation this morning about that, and what we've learned is actually the top performing salespeople in the world use very specific questions that they use over and over again. Okay. And that's one of the things we train within our sales academy is we're very good about that. And we drive everything off of that. And we drive off of what we call problem questions, impact questions, and picture perfect questions. And if you really want to get it converting, good at converting, that's where you got to master.
So let's talk again before we finish. I can tell you for sure, I took Jerry's and John Martinez Sales Academy. I attended the boot camps, and I can say probably for 100%, it's the skills that took me to the next level in my business. For sure, 100%. The ROI was tremendous. I invested in this because I knew the power of being good on the phone. So for people who want to take it to the next step, can you tell them about the Real Estate Sales Academy and how they can start the process to learn how to be a high-level closer?
Well, hi, first of all, I think you've got a link, my friend, right? That I got for you. So if you guys are, what I recommend is you go to the link, book a call with my team, and you'll end up talking to Cindy. Okay, on my team. Cindy's very knowledgeable when it comes to this side of things. And what we'll do, guys, is kind of get a view of this. Basically, the Sales Academy consists of, number one, a lifetime membership You'll never see any renewal fees, anything like that. And when you come in, what the beautiful thing about it is we know people want to build teams. So not only can you get in, but as you build your team, there's no additional investment on that. You can add team members and you can remove them. Okay. And when they remove them, they don't have access to the academy anymore. The academy is built out based upon a 12-week curriculum that we know works and works very, very well. And part of that is also, Haim, is what we call a quick start program, because we have a lot of times new people in the business. They want to get going right away, start converting more. So we have an 8 to 9 hour training built into our academy that'll get you closing on a higher level within 8 to 9 hours. And if you bring in new reps, put them through that. Or if it's just you want to go to that first. Then I actually do myself a live weekly training. If you guys can't be on the live weekly training, it's recorded and put into the academy. So you have the online academy, which is all broke out, laid out over 12 weeks. Plus we have additional bonuses in there, we have our phone pros, which shows you guys regarding cold calling scripts, lead manager scripts, auto responders for your email, texters is all built in there. You guys have access to that. And we also have a full dispositions workshop in there too. So awesome. All this is built in the academy, lifetime access for as many team members as you want to bring in. And, we've held the #1 sales training position ever since John started this back in, I think, 2014. So we pretty well hold the record for creating really the highest performing salespeople in this business. And we have those teams and we work with them, for many of them, for years.
Awesome. And if you're going to use our link, this is our affiliate link. Again, we're going to throw a link of us using the script and the systems that you teach to close the deal. Again, we have a recorded calls that we closed a deal over $83,000 in profit, recorded using Jerry's and John's script, that we how we take this knowledge and implement it. And we're going to throw a few more bonuses if you use our link. So Jerry, how people can get a hold of you, follow you? You have great content out there. I know that you have a good YouTube channel. You are active on Instagram, on Facebook. Where's the best way to follow you?
Yeah, I would recommend jumping over and definitely follow me on Instagram. It's the Jerry Green. Okay, it's just pretty simple on that. So just look at the Jerry Green. Follow me on Instagram on that side of things, guys. You can also jump over on Facebook. My Facebook page is simply Jerry. It's really just Jerry Green, REI. You can pull that up. Follow me on that. Any way I can help you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Haim, one other thing too. Just want to let you know what we did for you guys too. In your link that you got for the academy is I wanted to make sure it help you guys out a little bit more, and all your students, is we got some special pricing on there, so they'll save additional funds by just going through you guys on that. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. So again, and we take you on your promise that you're going to share the ad to hire acquisition people and your ebook, so we can, if somebody wants to reach out to us. We're going to send you this once we get it from Jerry. Jerry, thank you very, very much for being here with us, sharing your knowledge.
You guys are welcome. You're welcome.
Huge pleasure.
It's been awesome. Always a pleasure, and hope we can connect very soon in the States, or if you want to come to Israel and do an event with us, you're always welcome.
Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Bye.
Bye.